You are not your mind. How to control your thoughts and live a healthy, positive and fulfilling life. Erica Sellers. Introduction. We all want to live a happy and fulfilled life. We're constantly searching for ways to eliminate stress from our lives, change ourselves for the better and live an overall better life. Having these desires are important. We should want to better ourselves and constantly improve in appropriate ways. That being said, we are unable to accomplish anything in life without the right mindset. We may want to change different aspects and areas of our life, but without the proper way of thinking, this simply isn't possible. One cannot just say that he wants to live a better life, he must think of ways to get there. If we want our lives to change, regardless of what we're facing, we must change the way we think. Changing the way we think is much easier said than done, however, it's possible. Every day, people are able to change their lives simply by changing their thought process. Individuals have been able to eliminate stress, cure medical conditions, receive a better job, and find love and live a happy life just by changing the way they think about life in different situations. The way we think and how we focus on issues at hand plays a huge part in the kind of life we live. This is not a recipe for change, however, it's an informative text that will allow for information to be taken into consideration. When an individual realizes just how much the way they're thinking affects their life, they will be encouraged to possibly have a more positive outlook on life. Staying focused and positive can be a challenge, but with the right tools, anything is possible. Change your mind, change your life. Chapter 1, Mind over Matter. We are faced with many different issues each and every day. Every day, we wake up and have to make decisions. We don't realize just how many decisions and choices that we make each and every day. These choices and decisions are made regardless of the location or state of being that you may be in. Whether you're at home, at work, or out for a walk, you're making decisions. Multiple decisions at that. Decisions can be difficult, complicated, or they may be easy to make. That being said, when you have a positive attitude in life, decisions are easier to make. Regardless of what you're faced with, a positive attitude will ultimately guide you in the best possible direction. An entire situation can be changed just by how you look at and view a situation. Let's look at two different possible scenarios. Scenario 1, maybe you wake up early one morning. You start your day with a cup of coffee, but after you brew your coffee, you realize that you're all out of cream and you start to feel negative about this situation. Then, as you're pulling out items for breakfast, you reach in and grab your last 2 eggs and they slip out of your hand. Before you know it, both eggs are broken on the floor and there's yolk everywhere. Now you're running late for work because you spent all morning cleaning up. You're also tired and hungry because you won't drink coffee without cream and you didn't want to make anything else for breakfast. Now you're already having a bad day and you think to yourself, this is a bad day and it's only going to get worse. You end up interpreting the rest of the day as negative and therefore you label it as a completely bad day. Once things initially started going wrong, you then immediately held on to that mindset, that the entire day would end up turning out to be a bad day and there would be no way around the negativity and bad vibes from the day. Scenario 2, you woke up early, just as scenario 1, and you brew your coffee, realize you are all out of cream and decide to either try drinking it black or you look to see if you have any milk or half and half that you can use as a substitute. You reach in your fridge and decide to try adding a little milk to your coffee. Much to your surprise, it tastes almost the same as your regular coffee creamer. Immediately, something positive came out of something that would have been negative. Next, you reach in the fridge and pull out the last 2 eggs that you have. The eggs drop to the floor and break. You quickly grab a paper towel, clean up the mess and reach into your cupboard to pull out a box of cereal. You pour yourself a bowl of cereal and actually enjoy the change of breakfast choice and then go on your way. You get dressed for work and set out to have a great day. Nothing is stopping you. Not even the incidents that occurred in the morning. You're still going to have a great day. You're going to have a great day because you're able to make the most out of every situation. You're able to set your mind on positive vibes and not become distracted by any negativity that may be around you. Not only did you find solutions for the negative occurrences, but you remained positive the entire time. This is the difference between someone with a negative and someone with a positive mindset. The exact same thing happened in both scenarios, however the person in the second scenario was able to remain positive and optimistic throughout the entire ordeal. We are often dealt different cards in life that we may not agree with. Things will happen to us that we can't avoid, but if we stay positive, regardless of the situation, then the situation can be easily dealt with. Attitude is everything. There are always solutions in life to every situation, you just need to identify different solutions. Stepping outside of your comfort zone is a great way to begin this process. When an individual is stuck in his ways, it's hard to see outside of the clearly identified procedures that this individual will follow to stay on track according to what he likes. For example, this second scenario allowed for the individual to step outside of their comfort zone and improvise with the items they had. Yes, they were out of cream for their coffee, but they didn't take this as anything negative, they simply found a solution to the problem at hand. When you expand your way of thinking, you expand your options. Getting stuck in a specific way of living interrupts your mind and your train of thought. Thinking about life in areas of life with a narrow mind will not allow for improvement or changes of any kind. You must keep your mind focused on different possible outcomes rather than shutting your mind down when faced with obstacles. When you're optimistic about life, you maintain the idea that everything is manageable, that no matter what you're faced with in life, you can't get through it with the right mindset. No matter what the situation is, whatever you're faced with, the outcome will depend on your actions and your train of thought. Staying focused and staying positive will allow for positive actions to result from negative occurrences. When you focus on the positive, rather than the negative aspect of each situation, the outcome will most likely be in your favor. This idea of mind over matter also coincides with how we see ourselves. If we are aware of our flaws and we recognize them each day, we are focusing on something negative. While yes, it's important to be aware of differences that we all may have, it's not okay to dwell on these differences. When you start looking in the mirror constantly and pointing out things that bother you and that you want to change, these are thoughts that will start consuming your life. Learn to love yourself regardless of your shape, size, or visual differences. We are all created differently, and that's a good thing. When we lack self-confidence, we face a great deal of stress and negative thoughts because we feel that we aren't good enough. We start to feel as though we don't look pretty or handsome, and this ultimately leads to a feeling of failure. Learn to love what you have. Embrace your differences. Learn how to wake up each day, look in the mirror and tell yourself that you are beautiful. Do not look in the mirror, point out your flaws and be consumed with thoughts of what you want to do to change the way you look. It's okay to identify differences that you may have and want to work on these things. For example, if you notice that your eating habits haven't been the best and you recognize this, you may want to incorporate healthier foods into your life and start a new workout routine. Identifying things like this is okay, but it's not okay when these thoughts start to consume your daily life and become unhealthy. When looking at self-confidence, you also want to make sure you're confident in the work you do. Confidence is something that is hard to find at times, but with time and practice it's something that can be easily achieved. When we do something, always do your best. Doing your best will increase the positive thoughts you have about yourself, and you will start having more confidence in what you do. If you find yourself constantly having negative thoughts about your work, the way you play sports, play games, or anything else in life, take a look at this, because these are negative thoughts. If you tell yourself that you're not good at something, you're not going to give it your all, and your mind will be filled with negative thoughts about you not being able to do something correctly or appropriately. The more you tell yourself that you can do something, the less likely you are going to be to do it. If you start looking at everything in life as a possibility, then you will not only become more confident, but you will also start trying new things that you may not have done in the past. You may not be a professional basketball player, but if you focus and do your best when playing, you will open yourself up to learning new skills and becoming a better player overall. If you tell yourself that you can lose weight, you are more likely to stay on top of your fitness routine and keep up with your healthy eating habits. You can do anything you put your mind to as long as you have the right attitude and the right mindset. Chapter 2. Find freedom and focus. Many individuals are often plagued with anxiety and other ailments that interrupt the focus and control that they may have over life. When we are faced with these issues, we often succumb to the overwhelming symptoms that may be associated with this life-altering medical condition. When an individual is diagnosed with this condition, it may take time to actually figure out what's wrong or what's at the source of the anxiety. Anxiety can attack in different ways. Something may trigger the anxiety to occur, or it may simply come on all on its own. When you're feeling anxious, or if you're having a panic attack, you may feel trapped. Feeling trapped in your body, in your own mind, or even in a room is incredibly common for individuals who are suffering from an anxiety disorder. When you've been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, you may not feel that you are in control. This lack of control can stem anywhere from not being in control of your thoughts, body, actions, or mind. When you're feeling out of control, you often feel as if you're going crazy. This out-of-control feeling is one of the scariest feelings that anyone can face. While yes, the physical symptoms such as a racing heart, sweating, clammy hands, dizziness and shortness of breath are scary enough alone, when you are not in control of your own mind, this is scary on a different level. Not being able to control your mind is overwhelming and can scare anyone that's being faced with this. Individuals with anxiety start to feel as though they're not in control of their own life. When the initial bouts of anxiety start to kick in, it may be at different levels. First, you may start to feel the general symptoms of anxiety mentioned above. You may be able to get these symptoms under control and just avoid the action at hand. Maybe you were about to go for a run, or to the movies, but once you started feeling these symptoms, you decided to stay home instead. You wanted to stay home and try and understand these symptoms. Staying home would help you because you've never felt anything like this before. Also, many of the symptoms of this medical condition can be very draining on your body. This initial need to stay home may seem necessary for the time being, but it's important not to let this drag on. Many people who face anxiety start to stay home more and more from fear that they will be faced with another anxiety attack. These individuals may even start to link certain activities, places, or even individuals to their anxiety. For example, if an individual first has a panic attack at a movie theater, it may be difficult for them to go back to the movies. When they do, they may have a constant fear that they will have another panic attack. Over time, this type of situation can be very difficult to overcome because the longer you stay away from something, the harder it is to go back. Let's look at another situation such as driving. If an individual had a panic attack on the freeway, they may find it very difficult to begin driving on the freeway again because they now link the freeway to their panic and their medical condition. Now, over time, they are unable to drive on the freeway and will do everything they can to avoid freeway driving. Driving on the freeway alone creates an immense amount of fear and anxiety, and it's easier for the individual to simply avoid driving on the freeway altogether instead of working through the fear. These initial fears can ultimately lead to great bouts of anxiety, and the individual may eventually become fearful of driving altogether. When this happens, they now are not able to get around anywhere due to this fear, and the anxiety is now taking over their entire life. When this happens, it's important to understand that the individual is letting their fears, thoughts, and ultimately their mind prevent them from doing normal, daily activities such as driving. Now, the individual is stuck in this awful anxiety-filled world, and it keeps getting worse with the more things they relate to anxiety. They are literally trapped within their own minds. Another example of a person being trapped in their thoughts would be someone who may be afraid to fly. That being said, some individuals are able to push through their fears and follow through with an activity. That being said, even though this individual may be fearful of flying, or they may have an anxiety disorder, they choose to do so anyways. Anything can trigger a panic attack for individuals, but one most common trigger is the fact that being in an airplane does not allow for someone to leave the plane until they have landed. This thought alone can make anyone scared, but for those suffering from anxiety, it can make you feel like you're losing your mind from the fear. When fear enters our mind, it can often take over. A person may seem fine until they are actually in the air. Some may have a panic attack during takeoff. It is different for everyone. For someone who is fearful of being in the air, or maybe they're afraid of heights, once they've elevated to a certain level in the air, the fear of not being able to get out or escape starts to set in. There are many different thoughts that will enter your mind at this time. Not being in control of the plane is one of those thoughts. Now, obviously you wouldn't be able to control the plane unless you were flying the plane, but that being said, the fear stems from the fact that you will not be able to get out of the plane. Then you are bombarded with a million different thoughts. Some of these thoughts may be incredibly irrational. For example, maybe you start to think to yourself that you want to get off the plane. Well, this isn't possible until you land. What if they want to get off the plane? The fear may also stem from the possibility of completely freaking out and making a scene in front of the other passengers. These are all thoughts that may go through an individual's mind who has an anxiety disorder, just to name a few. Not being in control is what really makes this into a very overwhelming disorder. The lack of control is scary and can provide for a wealth of emotions and thoughts to run through the individual's mind. When you panic, you lose control, or at least you feel like you do. The symptoms that occur with a panic attack, such as when you hyperventilate, sweat, your heart rate speeds up and you stop being able to think correctly, often make you feel even more so as though you were going crazy. It's understanding how to control all of these irrational thoughts and symptoms that will ultimately provide for a better living environment for an individual. While this is easier said than done, it's in fact possible. You first want to start identifying your fears. There are a great deal of workbooks that can be used to help dissect where the problem lies and how to work with the anxiety disorder that you are faced with. In order to really change the way you think, you first have to know what it is that you're thinking and why. The next thing you want to do is write down the thoughts that are going through your mind when you are being faced with an anxiety attack or when you feel one coming on. For example, maybe you enter a shopping mall and you start to feel anxious. You want to write down why you're feeling this way, what is going through your mind at this very moment that is causing you to panic. An individual may begin to write things like they are afraid of in the moment. Maybe the individual is afraid of the crowd and they start to feel closed in a tight space. Maybe the overwhelming activity at the mall is what they're anxious about. They may even start to think about things like, what if they want to get out of the mall? How long would it take to get out of the mall and find an exit if need be? Many individuals usually have an escape plan. That being said, this plan is usually set up in their minds and clearly identifies where all the local restrooms are, where all the exits are, and the local hospitals if they need them. When you start writing these thoughts down, and you really start looking at them, you become more aware of how irrational they really are. When you really sit down and think about it, why would you need to know where the exits are? While, yes, you'll need to get out of whatever building you're in eventually, when you're ready to leave, you'll find the exit. Yes, you also may not be a fan of the crowds at the mall, but will the crowd hurt you? Most likely, no, they will not. Yes, there are many unfortunate things that happen every day, but these are not things that we need to remain fearful of. When we are able to identify our fears, we start the process of clearing these fears from our minds. Most of the fears that we hold are holding us back from feeling free and living our lives. Fears and irrational thoughts prevent many individuals from living the lives they are meant to live. If you're afraid of flying, it will be difficult to travel and experience new things. If you're afraid to drive, you won't be able to truly feel independent and get yourself where you need to. You may even miss job opportunities if the job is farther than you're able to travel. Understanding our thoughts, letting go of fears and focusing on positivity is a crucial part of life. Chapter 3. Control your thoughts. Control your life. Controlling your thoughts and your mind can be difficult. The good news is that there are many different techniques and helpful ideas that will encourage mind control. Now, there are many things that can be done in order to free your mind. For example, when you're feeling overwhelmed and pressured, try taking a walk. If you're at work, just stepping away from your desk for a few minutes will help the situation. Get up, walk outside and focus on something else. We often become so consumed with work and stressful thoughts that we forget to appreciate the beauty that surrounds us. Mind blocks occur when we are feeling overwhelmed, and it's incredibly difficult to get past these blocks without taking a break. When we get away from our desk and walk around, it's important to make sure that you give your mind a break. We all need a break, including your mind. Your brain needs a chance to breathe. Give it a break once in a while. We can also give our mind a break by working on our breathing techniques. Breathing has so much to do with how we behave. We may not realize it, but the way we breathe can either relax us or make us feel even more stressed. When we understand how to breathe properly, we're more inclined to handle a situation, specifically a stressful situation, more appropriately. Focusing on our breathing is much easier said than done, especially for someone who is constantly busy and full of energy. Focusing on anything takes time, and focusing on your breathing takes more time than you would think. When you try and focus on your breathing, this may seem weird at first, but it can be done, and it is done each and every day. When you incorporate breathing techniques and meditation, you start to learn how to focus at a deeper level, and you start clearing your mind of any and all negativity. It's difficult for us to clear our mind on our own. We often need help with this, and that's exactly what meditation provides for us. Meditating takes time and practice. Specifically, learning how to breathe effectively takes time, and it takes a great deal of practice for anyone. When you begin to focus on your breathing, you will start to become aware of just how many different thoughts run through your mind each and every day and every moment. This may be a scary time. We often aren't aware of just how much we're thinking about something or focusing on an issue until we really sit down and identify what's going through our head. We don't realize how many thoughts are in our minds until we try and tune them out and get rid of them. It will be difficult at first to not give in to these other thoughts. In fact, it's very hard at first to not let your mind wander over to these thoughts, but in time you will be able to do this with little effort. We become plagued with issues, occurrences, and often individuals that take over our minds. We start to constantly think about different things and about different people, and we lose track of reality and what's really important in life. For example, if you're in an unhealthy relationship, you may find yourself only thinking about this person. You may start to think about what they were doing, if you'll hear from them, if they were cheating on you, or anything else they may be doing. These are not only negative thoughts, but they are also fears and worries as well. These fears and worries cause us stress and can ultimately lead to other health problems as well. Learning to let go of these thoughts is not only important for our minds, but it's important for our soul and for our body as well. If you start looking into meditation as technique for learning how to focus on life and clear your mind of negative thoughts, you must remember one important thing. The practicing of meditation requires a great deal of discipline. In order to allow the meditation to work, you must be able to discipline yourself and understand what exactly you need to do in order to rid your mind of negative thoughts and actions. This is where a great deal of discipline comes into play. Once you get started, and you've made the commitment to this technique, you must discipline yourself and your mind, and remember that your only focus at this time is the way you're breathing. Starting with your breathing is important, as it will allow you to focus more once you get into the more in-depth version of meditation. If you find that your mind continues to wander off, start again and do not give up. Whatever you do, do not give up. You will be tempted to give up when your mind starts to wander, but if you really want to live a healthier life without negative thoughts, you will remain focused on the task at hand. Start again as many times as you need until you are able to only focus on how you are breathing. Write down why this is important to you if need be, and refer back to this when your mind starts to wander. Practicing your breathing is important for ultimate relaxation. When you are stressed and thinking about negative things, your body is tense and you're unable to relax. This breathing practice, over time, will allow your distracting thoughts to subside, and your overall ability to relax will become greater. You will not master your breathing techniques overnight. In fact, it may take a while to really get this down, but in the end, it will absolutely be worth it. Breathing meditation is one of the first stages of deep meditation, but it can be incredibly powerful. Immediately, once we are able to only focus on our breathing and we can eliminate all other thoughts from our minds, we will start to find inner peace. Find a quiet space, light some candles, and make sure you're comfortable. Look at your environment and make sure that it's comfortable and relaxing enough for meditation. Do not try and meditate in a crowded and loud room. Do not set yourself up for a failure. A large part of meditation includes having a calm and peaceful environment to meditate in. Remember, a great deal of our stress is created through our thoughts and fears. If you're in a loud or chaotic area, we may resort back to these thoughts and fears and we won't be able to let them go. When we find ourselves focused on these thoughts and we meditate, focusing on our breathing and letting go, these fears become simple and we begin to gain more control over what comes and goes through our minds. Always remember the ultimate goal, and that is to gain control over your mind and free your mind of anything negative. Practicing yoga and meditating are both great ways to gain control over your mind. Write down what you want to focus on and keep this in your room with you if you need to when you are first starting out. Some people will need a reminder while others will be able to remind themselves by simply holding on to the positive thought in their minds. Finding a significant amount of deep contentment and happiness can be achieved just by doing 10 minutes of deep breathing meditation each day. If you feel like you don't have time to meditate or do yoga, well, do not feel this way because we do. We all have the time even though it may not seem like it. It doesn't matter if you have kids, if you're a workaholic, if you're sick, whatever situation you're in, you can and you must make time for these practices if you really want your life to change for the better. Practice makes perfect in any situation, and you must make time to meditate in order to really nail the concept and achieve the full benefits from this practice. When we meditate and focus on our breathing, we tend to feel more calm and relaxed. Feeling calm and relaxed is the overall goal here. The less stress that we have, the more calm we feel each and every day. Relax and let go of unnecessary stressors through breathing meditation. This will encourage a free and open mind that is not willing to allow negativity in. Health issues are often caused and/or triggered by stress. Health conditions such as anxiety, heart problems, and stomach ulcers have all been known to either be activated or caused by stress. It's important to understand this fact, but it's also important to remember that this can be prevented very easily with the right tools. Do not let yourself become plagued with an immense amount of healthy conditions just because you're unable to manage and handle the stress that you are facing. Knowing that these issues can be avoided or eliminated through meditation should be a great incentive for people to focus on their meditation skills. Stop pill popping and start meditating if you really want to rid yourself from stress. Do not turn to pills and alcohol when you can live a healthy lifestyle by meditating and eliminating stress in a healthy way. While you are practicing deep belly breathing, the proper technique to use is in through your nose, belly expands as you fill it with air, out through your mouth, belly deflates as you let all of the air out. Make sure you understand the technique and how it works before you try it. Try breathing in for 5 seconds and out for 5 seconds. Do this for an entire minute and then do it again, this time breathing in for 10 seconds and out for 10 seconds. Reflect on what you just did and question how this made you feel. See how long you can breathe in and out for without panicking and losing your breathing pattern. The key is to remain calm and ensure maximum air intake on the inhale so that you have a lot of air to expel once you exhale. At this point, you should be thinking about nothing other than your breathing. Once you get up to breathing in for 30 seconds and out for 30 seconds, you will likely find that it's becoming very difficult. Focus on staying calm and breathing in the most efficient way possible, and with practice you'll soon be breathing in for 1 minute and out for 1 minute, or maybe even longer. Most of us have trouble controlling our thoughts. When we are faced with negativity or issues, we immediately lose track of our thoughts. For example, when we're at work, if someone changes something that we've done, we may take this negatively. We may immediately assume that they're doing something on purpose to take away from the work that's already been done. Focus. 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 Even if it's on nothing. No matter how hard we try, sometimes it often becomes incredibly difficult for us to focus on what's in front of us. That being said, when we're trying to meditate, this problem can definitely put a damper on the process. The goal is to either free your mind from any and all thoughts, whether they be positive or negative, or to strictly focus on positive thoughts. When you're focused and calm, your life will be enhanced. It's really that simple. Do not go through life constantly stressed out and under pressure when you don't have to. While you may feel overwhelmed at times, like there's no way out, luckily, there is. There are a few fundamentals involved with the process of focus and meditation. The first thing you want to do is make sure you are getting a significant amount of sleep each night. Now, this is obviously easier said than done. We have children, we have to work late, and sometimes we even have insomnia. Developing a better sleeping cycle will help you be a well-balanced individual overall. Some people survive off of coffee and energy pills to keep going and keep pushing through the day. However, these alternatives are not always the best or the healthiest solution out there. Meditation can not only teach you how to focus, but it can also increase the amount of energy you have throughout the day. When you start to meditate on a daily basis, it becomes more routine. It also becomes easier to meditate when you incorporate it into your daily schedule. The more you meditate, the more effective the process is. If you tried meditating once and it was difficult for you, that's okay. It takes time for us to acquire the necessary skills when trying to have a healthy meditation experience. In order to meditate effectively, there are a few steps that must be followed in order to achieve the full effect of meditation and the remarkable things that it can do for our mind, our body, and our soul. Getting plenty of sleep, as discussed before, may be difficult, but it's definitely doable. Luckily, we're able to focus more with little sleep when we were younger. When we get older, however, this often changes. Once we enter into adulthood, if we want to truly be productive in life, we must focus on getting an adequate amount of sleep as many nights out of the week as possible. Getting between 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night is usually best. Keep in mind that you don't want to sleep less than 7-8 hours, or more than 7-8 hours, because too much sleep can affect you in a negative way as well. It may be difficult for some of us to achieve this and sleep for this amount of time. We have children, snoring partners, and other disturbances that we may be faced with at night. Ensuring that we receive an adequate amount of sleep each night is crucial for the meditation process. Finding time to sleep is difficult, but you must either set yourself a bedtime, or find time during the day to take naps when trying to make up for lost hours at night. However you make up for it, make sure your sleep patterns are in sync, consistent and effective. Eliminating distractions is another important aspect of meditation. Meditation is all about relaxing. Meditation leads you to find peace within yourself and within your mind. If there are loud noises, loud conversations, or other things going on around you, it's going to be very hard to focus. While you are meditating, try to stay in the zone. You have to lose track of what's around you. Turn your phone off and any TVs that may be around and just get lost in yourself. When you are able to tune out the world, you will begin to truly understand yourself. Find your zone. Do not think about time, space, what's for dinner or cleaning the house. Get lost in the moment of meditation. We often become so busy with our normal lives and routine that clearing our minds is incredibly difficult. When we focus on life, school, our children, work, and other things that take up our time and energy, it's hard to let these thoughts go, even if it's only for a short amount of time. One way to encourage meditation is to perform the activity a few times per day. Now, I know this may seem extreme, but it's not. Meditation usually requires a significant amount of time, say 10-20 minutes or so. That being said, it doesn't have to. When we transfer ourselves from one area of our lives to another, it becomes difficult for us to process this. For example, when we leave work and go straight into mommy/daddy or wife/husband mode at home, we may feel overwhelmed, like the work just never stops. Try taking a few minutes after each daily transitional phase to meditate. Short amounts of meditation can be done during this time. Take a few minutes and leave the work persona behind. Gather your thoughts and let that part of your day go completely before you enter into your next transitional phase. Work alone can be incredibly overwhelming. We must find time in our day to look over our workday and then look forward to what's in store for us at home. That being said, you must give yourself that time in between the transitional phase to gather your thoughts and process your next steps. When an environment changes, so do our thoughts, feelings, and actions. This time can be used to leave behind any negative energy that may have been developed at work, and start fresh with the new transition. Try taking the time while you're commuting to and from work to let go of any negative energy. If you're on your way to work, Try not to think about the argument you just had with your significant other that morning or what you need to do once you get home. Free your mind of any thoughts, that way you are able to start your workday with a clean slate. Try thinking about positive and healthy places while you are driving. This is your zone. Your zone can be anything from a deserted island to a quiet cabin in the mountains. Whatever and wherever you want your zone to be is entirely up to you. You can make the sanctuary your own and you're encouraged to do so. This action is referred to as visual meditation. This is where your imagination comes into play. Remember, the deeper our thinking skills, the more we'll be able to accomplish. When we are able to visualize an idea or place and focus solely on that place, this is considered visual meditation. This type of meditation is effective as it allows us to picture and visualize in our minds what we want. We can either visualize a place where we want to be in life or maybe on vacation. Whatever and wherever this place may be, make sure it's a safe and healthy place full of peace and serenity. Whatever your zone may be, make sure you're able to free your mind when you're thinking about this beautiful place. Quite honestly, you will have an incredibly difficult time meditating if you're unable to free your mind of daily thoughts. This is something that you must practice and it will take time. Be patient. In time you will train your mind to clear when the time is right. Chapter 4. Stress-free is the way to be. Stress. We are all faced with an overwhelming amount of stress each and every day. We face stressful situations at work, at home, with our friends and with our family. Stress consumes our lives, but it's how we manage and handle our stress that will ultimately roll over into our life. When we become stressed out, we often let stress overwhelm us. We become consumed by stressful thoughts and ideas. We are faced with life situations such as financial issues that cause us a great deal of grief and worry. Specifically, when we have children and families, facing money problems can be very stressful. When we're stressed out financially, we start to feel as though there's no way out, like there's nothing we can do to get out of debt. Finances cause more stress on individuals than perhaps anything else. Money issues are serious because if we do not have money, we may not be able to pay our bills, our rent, or even buy food. This causes even more grief when we have children because we are no longer only paying for ourselves, we are responsible for what they are facing due to our finances as well. If you're not able to provide food for the child, or housing, the individual may begin to feel as though they are failing. When you face financial hardships, you basically have two options. The first option is to feel sorry for yourself, let your stressful thoughts consume you and succumb to your debt. This will most likely lead to other negative issues happening due to your train of thought. When you think to yourself that you've failed because you don't have enough money, this is how you will begin to live. You will begin to live as though you have failed in life. This behavior is not only noticeable to others, but it will create an even more negative environment for your children and others around you to be in as well. The second option is to think about everything positive that you have in your life. Maybe you're not able to afford your rent anymore, but you have some great family members that will allow you to live with them until you are able to save up enough money to move out again. So be thankful for this. Look at this as a positive. Maybe you can't afford food, so you find organizations that will help you with this. Thankfully, there are an immense amount of nonprofits and other organizations that focus on helping those in need. Do not ever be too prideful to help yourself. We often become too caught up with pride and our egos that we're afraid to ask for help. It's understandable to feel as though you don't want to receive help from others, but oftentimes we need their help, and that's okay. If you find yourself in this position, that's okay. We all go through things in life that we need help with. We often need help financially, emotionally and mentally, and it's okay to reach out to others during this time. If we really want to free our minds from stress and issues that may prevent us from finding happiness, we must be ready and willing to find out what's causing us pain and hardships, and then follow up with a plan of action and identify the steps needed to face the problem. This first part of this plan will include making a list. If you find yourself only thinking about areas of your life that cause you stress, this is a problem that needs to be addressed. First, sit down, preferably in a quiet area, and take a good look at your life. Now identify things in your life that are currently creating drama or stress. Grab a pen and a piece of paper and start creating a list. Some of our stress, in fact, a great deal of stress of course is natural, but it's important to identify issues that are causing an unhealthy amount of drama. For example, you should be writing exact causes of the stress. The list can include anything from names, to items, to even places. Remember, the first step is to actually identify what is causing you stress and filling your life with unnecessary drama. You may find yourself overwhelmed and stressed out due to poor time management skills. When we're late and rushing, we are often stressed out. For some, managing time may be causing a great deal of stress. Managing your time effectively will increase the control you have over your day. If you know you have work to do, identify a certain amount of time each day to get it done. For example, if you are given a project to do, and you have a week to complete the project, identify a portion of each day throughout the week to work on this. Do not wait until the last minute and rush your way through the project. You never know about life. You could wait until the last minute and end up getting sick, having an emergency, or something else may come up that will affect the time you have set aside to complete the project and will ultimately lead to you missing your deadline. If you work on the project a little each day, you will eliminate a significant amount of stress from your life. The old adage, time waits for no one, is certainly true. Wake up earlier, go to bed earlier, and manage your time in an appropriate manner. If you have a lot of work to do, know your social limits. This doesn't mean to stay home every night, but if you know you have an early day at the office, stay home and get to bed early. The last thing you want to do is risk waking up late and end up rushing the next morning just to get to work. Part of controlling your mind involves controlling your life. If you're not in control of your life, you will not be in control of your thought process either. When we start our day off rushing, it often creates negative energy for the rest of the day, and you will constantly be rushing. If you wake up late because you stayed out late the night before, you will most likely be unproductive the rest of the day. You'll find yourself sitting at your desk feeling tired, stressed out, and overwhelmed because you're unable to get your work done due to your lack of sleep. It's very important not to rush through anything in life. You don't want to rush in the morning, when you are getting dressed, or through your work each day. If you manage your time correctly, you will not only release a great deal of stress from your life, but you will be happier and less overwhelmed overall in your life. The last thing you want in your life is unnecessary stress triggers, and you shouldn't have to stress about certain things if you manage your time effectively and appropriately. Really focus on waking up earlier each day if you find yourself constantly rushing around in the morning. Starting your day by rushing definitely doesn't set a good tone for the rest of the day. How you start your day is a good idea of how the rest of your day will go. While there are certain things in life that you cannot control, what you can control is your time and what you do with it. If you are still having trouble after waking up earlier, pick up a self-help book on time management and find different ways to effectively manage your time throughout the day. The skills found in these books will ultimately help you at work, school, and through your entire daily routine. Chapter 5: Universal Mind Control. When we grow up, we're often raised to think a certain way. We're raised to think a certain way about life, individuals, what's right and wrong, and so forth. We are taught from day one what the right way is to live and what we should think about. Therapy. We've all heard the word. Most of us don't want to admit that we need it, but the good news is that you can oftentimes prevent yourself from actually making your appointment if you find different ways to relieve your stress and combat hardships you may in fact be facing. We often become so engulfed in our own lives that we feel there's no way out. For just about every problem out there, from anxiety to divorce, to solving math problems, there is a self-help book out there. Before you start emptying your bank account for therapy sessions you may not even need, head over to a local bookstore and see if you can read your way through your pain and hardship. Self-help books are great because you can take your time reading through them and you'll feel empowered after you do so. Take anxiety for example. Maybe you've struggled with anxiety all your life, as most of us have, and you just haven't found a solution for the problem. Pick up a self-help book on anxiety and see if that helps. There are many techniques that can be discovered just by reading different self-help books. If nothing else, reading self-help books will make you realize that you are not alone. That in fact, There are many people struggling with the same exact problems you are and can oftentimes help you through it. Reading new books is a great way to be exposed to new information and new things. One way this can be done is by finding books that you're interested in. Reading is a great way to become educated. Through reading, you're able to understand problems of the world, learn what it's like in different countries, and possibly even learn how to do something you've always been interested in. Getting lost in a great novel can not only become a cheap form of therapy, but it can also give you a new perspective about life. Maybe you've been having some hardships in your life and you've started to feel sorry for yourself. Reading a book about other individuals' hardships may make you realize that yours aren't so bad. Books also boost your imagination and make you think deeply. Fiction books, for example, are full of imagination and require you to picture what is happening and think about possibly outcomes of different situations. Maybe you've had a stressful day at work or with life in general and you just want to get away for a while. Well, grab a good book and get lost in it. Reading will take you away from reality and will allow you into other worlds and other lives, all from the comfort of your own home. Relieving stress through reading is great for your mind and your soul. Become inspired through reading. Maybe you were trapped in an unhealthy relationship and you don't know how to get out of it. You need someone or something to help you. Well, find a book that involves getting out of relationships that are bad for your health. Gain motivation from the characters in the book and realize that you too can get yourself out of anything that does not fulfill your life. We can often help ourselves and our problems just by simply reading a book. Books are cheap forms of therapy that provide a wealth of information for readers. Immediately when you read, you become more knowledgeable because whatever was on the first page of the book you're reading, you most likely weren't aware of before, therefore, you're smarter already. Get through life's battles by reading. Let books take you on a journey that you've never experienced before. You will not only feel accomplished once you get through an entire book, but you will feel fulfilled as well. You accomplished something. You read an entire book. Reading is not only good for the mind, but it's also great for the soul. Reading is like chicken soup for the soul. It calms you down during tough times. It helps you through makeups and breakups, and it may even help you find out things about yourself that you didn't know before. You may find a new interest through reading, you may find a new career path, and you may even find yourself. Chapter 6, Let Go and Live. Over time, we as individuals have different things happen to us. We will go through life, face breakups, deaths, financial issues and many other obstacles in life. It's how we handle the obstacles and hardships that ultimately affect how we live. Even as children, there are unfortunately many things that happen to us that we hold on to. Some children are abused, mistreated, neglected and face other issues. When parents, teachers or other adults in a child's life treat them negatively, the child will often hold on to the negative feelings and actions that were done to them. Children unfortunately often learn what they live. If they were raised in an unhealthy household with screaming, yelling, and other abusive behaviors, they will most likely grow up and behave the same way. It's important that we recognize when this happens. Just because we were raised to behave a certain way, doesn't mean that you have to remain this way. That being said, it's often difficult to break this vicious cycle. When you were taught that there's only way to live, this is what you start to believe. Educating yourself from those around you on abusive relationships and unhealthy behaviors is important. We may witness things during our childhood that leave scars on our hearts and our soul, but these are things that we can overcome if we set our mind to it. If you see an individual who is an alcoholic, someone who is abusive, sad or depressed, it's often due to the way they are raised. An individual who grows up in an abusive home is more likely to abuse those around him. For example, if a man hits his wife in front of his children and they witness this action, while they may want to protect their mom at the time and do anything they can to stop their father, they will often grow up and abuse their wives and their girlfriends as well. This vicious cycle is not only unhealthy but it's incredibly dangerous. That being said, when you see that something is wrong, do not succumb to this. Be aware of what is wrong and start educating yourself on how you can prevent this from happening again and how you can ensure that you will not behave in the same way when you grow up. Just because you go through something as a child doesn't mean that you should grow up and behave the same way. Remember, You have control over your own life. You control what you do regardless of how you were raised. We all go through things. We witness things as children and as adults that may hurt us, stay in our mind, or change who we are as individuals. Let go of the negative feelings and emotions that you were faced with. Holding on to this type of negativity will only cause you more pain and anguish. Looking at a situation with an abusive father, these children may hold a great deal of anger for their father. In fact, witnessing these actions as children may completely ruin the relationship the child has with his father. He may look at his father with anger and pain and blame him for many things in his life. Do not let these actions control your life. Learn to forgive and let go of these negative feelings. Holding on to the anger will only make things harder for you. When you hold on to drama, you hurt yourself more than anyone or anything else. Drama unfortunately surrounds our lives on a daily basis. Every day there is usually some type of dramatic situation that will come up. Now, this can be a minor or major situation. It is hard to eliminate all drama and stress from our lives, but it is however possible to eliminate a good majority of drama and stress. Drama is brought on by many factors. These factors include the friends we choose, the place in which we work, our families and significant others. That being said, most of us find ourselves feeling stressed out at work. Most stress at work is normal. We want to prove ourselves and show others how great we are. We want to learn, grow and be the best. We want to work as a team and encourage great things to happen at work. That being said, it's when work stressors become unhealthy that we need to take a step back and look at the situation at hand. Now, let's start with friends. The old saying, "You are who you hang out with," is incredibly correct. If your friends are not living fulfilled lives, if they don't have a job or life goals, this can lead to drama and stress. Stress can occur in these situations such as life goals. You may find yourself caught up with certain individuals that cause you stress. These people may be causing you stress on purpose or on accident, but either way, it's something that you must clearly identify. We may feel the need to please certain people and therefore become caught up in this feeling alone. When we have this need to please others, this feeling alone causes us a great deal of stress. We start constantly thinking of how we can please this person or that person and we forget to focus on ourselves first. Keep in mind that there's a difference between being self-absorbed and loving yourself in an appropriate manner. In order to truly love someone else, we must first be able to love ourselves. Loving yourself will allow you to not only be healthier but you will feel healthier as well. In order to free your mind from negative thoughts, you need to love yourself enough to eliminate negative people from your life as well. When you're evaluating common stressors, look at different people in your life and make sure that some of your friends and family members aren't the cause of your stress. If they are, you must either eliminate these people from your life or learn how to deal with them in a way that doesn't allow you to become so stressed out about these individuals that it starts controlling your life. When we focus on others, we must remember that we can only do so much to help other individuals. To an extent, we can provide help, guidance or other things that will help people, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that whatever we're doing doesn't turn around and give us stress and cloud our daily thoughts. We have enough to worry about in our own lives. Once we learn how to manage our stress, we want to make sure that our daily thoughts are not being consumed by the troubles that others are facing. Conclusion. You are in control of your own life. You have control of what you think and what goes through your mind. Learn to let go of anything that is holding you back from happiness and positive thoughts. We're often faced with obstacles that will encourage our minds to wander. When our mind wanders and focuses on negative thoughts and ideas, it's ultimately up to us to control these thoughts and eliminate them from our mind. Practicing your breathing skills, meditation and focusing on positive thoughts will not only help you focus, but it will also ensure that you are staying on track in life. Do not let negative thoughts control your actions and your view on life. Let positive ideas and thoughts guide you down the right path. Let go of negative energy and negative thought clouds and learn to live a healthy, positive and fulfilling life.